Hey everyone, so real quick, I recently became a partner in the content creator program. So if you want to support me, I'll leave this link below. You go down to the search bar and you type in ZEP YT, ZEP YouTube, and click the support button. If you do this, if I get to 30 supporters, I'll be able to give out codes to my supporters. And I also get a small percentage back of what you guys spend in game for points to use in the game to be a little more inefficient with my time and energy to get you more valuable content. So if you want to do that, I'd really appreciate it. But anyway, back to the video. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another King Arthur Legends Rise video. So in today's video, guys, I'm actually doing something that I really dislike doing, but I think this is valuable enough for me to make this video. So I'm going to give you a team that can farm Nest of Yskalhaig 7. I hate making videos like this because there's always comments. Oh, I just need chivalry, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I just need, this relic, complainers. So before you even type it, I know it's coming. But I think this is the most accessible, consistent farming team that is as low cost as you can get, in my opinion. So it doesn't require Bedivere. It doesn't require what's her name? Sigrun. It doesn't require Yrrit. It requires Morgan, who's free, Turin, who's free, Sarah, which you don't need Chivalry 10. You can use her on Chivalry 1. And then Cormac. If you have the necessary stats, you don't even need Chivalry 6. There's a couple things that you just need, which we'll talk about. This Frost Relic on Sarah, I think, is nice to have. I don't know if it's necessary. You might be okay even with the Fire Relic. The positive thing about Sarah's Frost Relic is you can actually farm it. You can find this in the adventure mode on Chapter 7. If you complete Chapter 7, you get Sarah's Frost Relic. So there is a way to get it for free. Okay? That's pretty nice. Other things. Chivalry 1 on Morgan can be nice. Okay? Chivalry 1 on Morgan can be nice because it gives your damage dealer, which is Frost Relic Cormac, damage dealt increase 1 for the rest of the battle. You need someone to change the weather tonight, which is where Turin comes in. You do need Turin in Chivalry 1, so you need 2 additional copies of her to actually change the weather tonight. Other than that, that's all you need. You honestly don't even need Vigor sets on all of these heroes. You don't even need that, okay? So let's do a trial run here. Let's see what I'm talking about. We're going to do this on manual. Yeah, we'll do this on manual, all right, just to show. All right. So, Morgan, just use her skill 1. So if she's not Chivalry 3, that's okay. I know the Chivalry 3 matters. What matters for Sarah is this second passive. This is the other thing that you need for this run. You need this passive to be fully upgraded, which allows this buff disruption to go up for 2 turns, and then your cooldown to be 1 turn. This really matters. So the first time Sarah goes, she will use her skill 1. That's where she puts up her buff disruption and the attack gauge disruption. The attack gauge disruption, the one on the left, does not matter. It's the one on the right that matters. Cormac needs his Frost Relic because he's a positive element now, and his skill 3 just does a lot of damage. It's going to help you clear this wave in 2 turns, which is very important. And then also it's going to deal a lot of damage to the boss. Cormac needs to go behind Sarah, though. He needs to go behind Sarah because Sarah needs to attack twice on this wave. So Cormac needs to do enough damage to clear the wave, but he can't do enough damage to kill the wave in 1 turn. So that's important. So first attack here almost kills all the dragons. Here we have Turin. She's just going to use her skill 1. The only thing that matters for Turin is literally her Chivalry 1 passive. All right? Morgan just going in there again, just using her skill 1. Here, this is why this is important. So if Cormac was to kill this wave, Sarah would go into the boss with this passive on cooldown, which is bad because you want this to be off cooldown so she can land buff disruption on the boss. This boss puts up so many buffs on himself that if he gets that off once, you will lose. You'll fail. So Sarah, because this skill's on cooldown, she needs to go twice on this wave because now, once she uses her skill 1, her passive is off cooldown. Cormac comes in, will use his skill 3 and kill the rest of the wave. Now you're on to the boss. And this is where this matters. So, Turin has the Weather Tonight, which allows Morgan, if you wanted to, you could have Morgan be slower than Cormac. That'd be okay. It doesn't really matter. What matters here for Morgan is if you have the speed tuning correct, you can kill this boss quicker. If you wanted to, you could have this skill 2 be an option for Morgan. However, I think if you have skill 2 as Morgan's, default skill when you're autoing, you might need a vigor set to make sure that Cormac's skill 3 is always available. But I'm trying to show you that you don't need vigor on any of these heroes because they're all using their skill 1, which means that you'll always have 3 vigor available for Cormac to use his big AoE. So we're just going to keep going with that. So Morgan's going to go in there, do a normal attack. Sarah needs to go before the boss. I'll show you her speed at the end of this run. But you see her skill 1, passive 2 is off cooldown. So when she uses her skill 1, she goes in and she puts up the buff disruption. If you land buff disruption here, you win. Okay? Because then Cormac comes in and he does a nice chunk of damage. The fact that the boss has these additional wings allows his skill 3 to do even more damage. Skill 1 again. We're not even healing with Turin. We're trying to see if any vigor sets are needed. So here, Cormac's going in, got the boss down to his next level. Again, Turin's going in. Here's Morgan. All right, so the boss doesn't have any buff disruption anymore, but Sarah's skill 1, passive 2 is off cooldown. She's going to be doing the same thing. So here, she did not land the buff disruption. I don't know if there's variance in this game with landing debuffs. Even if it's 100%, there's always a 15% chance to miss or something. These gacha games love to do that crap. But if you run into that, you will most likely fail. Just because once this boss gets a turn, you'll end up losing. So the ways around that is making Cormac fast enough that he goes in front of the boss. If you look at the turn meter down here in the bottom left corner. So if Cormac goes after Sarah, but before the boss, this allows you to have a more consistent run because then Sarah only needs to land the buff disruption once. Because you see here, she missed on the second time, but the boss is almost dead. So if Cormac went before this boss, he would get a chance to attack the boss before the boss then goes in and puts up all of these buffs, because he could put up evasion up, and that's where things just spiral. So his hit accuracy and his defense went up. I don't know if he has evasion, but this is where things just can 100% spiral out of control for us. So he's put up defense up. Maybe we put the buff disruption up this time. It might be enough. Who knows? but then Cormac's going to go in and try and just squeak out just enough damage to see if this is viable. Okay, close. Yeah, so I think we did it. So even with Sarah missing buff disruption on her second attack, I was still able to clear it. Now, this is with heroes without any vigor sets, right? Because they're all using their skill 1. Now, if you have vigor set on your heroes, like I do, right? All of these heroes, Turin, Morgan, and Sarah all have a vigor set. If you do that, it gets way more consistent because then you can use skill 2 on Morgan to remove buffs if the boss ends up putting buffs on himself. You have these great buffs from Turin that can go on your heroes now. So if you're using skill 2 on Turin and Morgan, the run just gets even more consistent. So with Turin in her Storm Relic, she puts up defense. She puts up effect accuracy. These things matter for Sarah to land her debuff, and then it also matters for Cormac to do additional damage because his damage scales off of attack and defense. And remember, you need Sarah to attack twice, so her buff disruption is up to land it on the boss. So let's see if we can land it here. Okay, so we landed it. So this should be a successful run. And again, this is way more consistent if you have vigor set. But I just showed you that it was completely viable even without it. And if you wanted to speed up the run and make it even more consistent, you'd have Cormac go before the boss, but after Sarah. So she landed buff disruption again. This is 100% clear now. So if you have Turin's Fire Relic or Frost Relic, that will also make this way more successful just because Turin won't die. She'll be putting up, the defense, all of those things, or whatever buffs she has for her other relics. But yeah, this is the team that I wanted to bring you because I think it's the most accessible. I don't think, you don't need Bedivere, you don't need Yrrit, you don't need Sigrund. You just need Sarah. You need her passive 2 to be fully upgraded. And that's basically an enough damage out of Cormac, and you need his Frost Relic. So, a lot of conditions, but it is stage 7, 5-star gear, and you're getting these materials, these ingots to, craft even better gear going forward. All right, so Sarah, let's show you the speed. So her speed is 165. I don't know what the boss's is. Maybe it's 160. So if you can get Cormac around like 162, that would be great. Her effect accuracy, very important because you need to land that buff disruption debuff. As I said, her passive 2 skill does need to be fully upgraded. You need the buff disruption to be for 2 turns, and you need the passive cooldown time to be reduced to 1 turn. Those are the only important things. She is in Vigor set, but that won't matter, as I showcased. Morgan's Chivalry 1 is important if you can't get the necessary stats out of your Cormac. So the damage dealt increase 1 is very good. This is conditional on whether the weather is nighttime. But Turin turns the weather to night if she is also Chivalry 1. So Morgan, her speed is 167. So she's right before Sarah. That's not like a huge deal. But if you want to have more damage and have a quicker run, her effect accuracy could probably be 55 or 60, just like Sarah's was. But you're basically using Morgan just because she has the possibility of landing those additional damage outputs to help Cormac clear the first wave. That's all she's there for. She doesn't really even help with the boss, at least in my runs there, because Cormac was slower than the boss. So he didn't even get, the benefit of taking advantage of Morgan's damage debuffs. So this is my Cormac. He's at 154 speed, and you saw he was below the boss. So I think the boss's speed is 160. So if you get him to 161, way more consistent. His attack, defense, HP, all of this, guys, I think is extremely achievable. His crit rate's 44%. His crit damage 35%. Like, I don't think this is a big thing. His chivalry is 6, so he gets like additional damage on his chivalry 1. You know, more stats for his defense as well. His first passive is leveled up, so he gains decreased defense for 2 turns with a 1-turn cooldown. He has additional damage here. All of these things are going to matter for his damage output, but if you don't have these things and you can still get his damage to where he's killing that first wave in 2 turns, you will have a successful run. All right? And then Turin, like I said, you can use her Storm Relic. You can use any of her other relics. The thing is the Storm Relic puts up effect accuracy and defense increase too. This is huge just because it buffs Cormac and it buffs your Sarah. So this relic's absolutely fine. The fire one is also pretty good because it puts up evasion rate. This kind of helps your team survive a little bit longer. So if you're not getting the same kind of damage that I am out of my Cormac, then, you know, maybe the fire relic helps you stay a little bit alive a little more because of the evasion rate. So the thing that you always want to be paying attention to is over in the Lake of Avalon, you always want to be watching out on your relics on the shard shop here to see if you can find Cormac's Frost Relic. You always want to be looking here for that. Cormac's Frost Relic and then Rosier's Fire Relic. Those are the ones that are most important. But yeah, guys, I wanted to bring this video to you, give you a team, okay? Because a best heroes video for this equipment dungeon I don't think is necessary, just because it's you either cheese it, right, with Sarah, which is what I'm showing you here, and then Cormac. If you have Bedivere, you can use him. If you have Irit, you can use her as well. All of these heroes can get the job done. You just need enough damage out of your team to make sure that Sarah gets 2 attacks in on the first wave, and that's it. And then you're golden. And Sarah needs to be faster than the boss, so above 160, and she needs to go before Cormac. All right? That's all I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it helps. If you have any questions, put them below. I'll try and help the best I can. But the problem with these videos is it's very specific, and if you can't hit it, there's not many things that are replaceable. But I hope it's beneficial to you no matter what. And yeah, I'm getting out of your hair. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.